Have you ever wondered who truly controls global investments? Meet BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager and one of the most powerful financial entities ever created. They oversee more than $9 trillion in assets, more than the GDP of Japan, Germany, and India combined. But what makes them so influential isn't just their size. It's how deeply they're woven into the financial systems that run the world. Unlike traditional banks, BlackRock doesn't lend money or take deposits. Instead, it manages the wealth of nations, corporations, and millions of people, often without them realizing it. When you invest in a mutual fund, a retirement plan, or an ETF, there's a high chance BlackRock is quietly managing that money behind the scenes. They operate in more than 100 countries, influencing how trillions of dollars move every single day. Their reach touches everything, from the world's largest tech companies to energy giants, housing markets, and even government bonds. When BlackRock moves, markets move with it. A single decision inside their offices in New York can trigger waves felt across global stock exchanges within seconds. So how did a single company rise to such power? It all started in 1988, when founder Larry Fink envisioned a different kind of finance, one powered not by instinct, but by information. He believed risk could be managed with data, and decisions could be made through algorithms rather than emotion. That idea gave birth to something revolutionary, a system called Aladdin. Aladdin stands for Asset, Liability, Debt, and Derivative Investment Network. It's the digital brain of BlackRock, a super system that monitors and analyzes trillions of dollars in real time. It tracks global trades, simulates crises, and predicts potential losses before they happen. To this day, Aladdin processes more than 200 million calculations each week, quietly guiding how money flows across the world. And here's the most incredible part. Aladdin doesn't just power BlackRock. Banks, insurance firms, and even central banks rely on it to manage their assets. In total, Aladdin oversees close to 20 trillion globally. That's 1/5 of the planet's financial wealth. To understand its scale, imagine this. When markets fluctuate in Japan or interest rates change in Europe, Aladdin instantly recalculates how those moves could affect trillions in investments. It's like having a nervous system for the global economy, one that never sleeps. But behind the code and data lies strategy, and that's where BlackRock's philosophy comes in. They're not chasing quick profits. They're playing the long game, investing in sustainable growth, global infrastructure, and stability. Their mission is simple: create consistent returns with minimal risk. And that approach has made them indispensable to governments, institutions, and private investors alike. BlackRock's technology and data give them access to something more valuable than money: information. They can see patterns and risks before anyone else. They know where capital is flowing, which industries are expanding, and which countries are contracting. In a world where knowledge equals power, BlackRock sits at the very center. But their influence doesn't stop at finance. Every year, CEO Larry Fink sends a letter to company leaders, pushing for long-term thinking and environmental sustainability. He argues that capitalism must evolve, that profit should align with purpose. To some, this is visionary leadership. To others, it's an alarming amount of influence concentrated in one private firm. Because when one company owns a piece of nearly every major corporation, from Apple to ExxonMobil, from Google to Pfizer, it doesn't just participate in the system, it defines it. Alongside Vanguard and State Street, BlackRock controls roughly 20% of the entire U.S. stock market. That gives them enormous voting power in corporate decisions that shape industries, jobs, and even global policy. During crises, their role becomes even more visible. In the 2008 financial crash, when Wall Street was collapsing, the U.S. government turned to BlackRock for help. They were tasked with managing toxic assets that no one else could handle. Once again, in 2020, when the pandemic froze global markets, the Federal Reserve called on BlackRock to manage massive bond buying programs worth hundreds of billions. They became both a partner and a stabilizer, a private company helping steer public recovery. But with such power comes deep questions. How much influence should one firm have over governments and global economies? When BlackRock manages assets for both corporations and regulators, can true neutrality exist? And what happens when Aladdin, an algorithm, becomes more trusted than human judgment? Beyond Wall Street, BlackRock's reach extends into real estate. They're buying entire neighborhoods, competing with families for homes. Their strategy? Turn houses into long-term rental assets that generate stable income. Critics say this pushes homeownership further out of reach for ordinary people. BlackRock calls it efficient capital allocation. Whichever side you believe, the result is the same. The ownership of everyday life is shifting from individuals to institutions. Their power is quiet but absolute. Most people will never interact with BlackRock directly. There are no branches, no flashy ads, no public accounts. Yet, their algorithms monitor global movements every second. Currencies, commodities, stocks, and political shifts, constantly adjusting the levers of global finance. Inside their offices, thousands of analysts and engineers work side by side with Aladdin's data. Every decision is backed by layers of simulations and predictive models. It's a blend of human expertise and artificial intelligence, a financial ecosystem designed to see risk before it even exists. And this is the paradox. While many companies depend on market chaos to make money, BlackRock profits from stability. They see opportunity not in panic but in balance. Their strength lies in understanding volatility and turning it into predictable growth. So, what does this mean for the future of finance? BlackRock is becoming a template for how modern capitalism operates: quiet, data-driven, and global. They've created a system where algorithms manage risk, and influence extends far beyond trading floors. Governments rely on them. Corporations depend on them. And investors trust them. But dependency creates vulnerability. If BlackRock falters, the world could feel the shock. When one company controls so much, it's no longer just a market participant. It's part of the market's infrastructure itself. Still, their impact isn't just financial. They fund renewable energy projects, infrastructure, and innovation around the world. They shape policies that affect climate change and sustainability. Whether you agree with their methods or not, BlackRock is redefining how wealth influences the world. Their story is one of ambition, intelligence, and quiet dominance. They've built an empire not with walls or armies, but with algorithms, data, and trust. And whether you realize it or not, your financial future might already be tied to them. Because today, money doesn't just flow through banks or governments. It flows through code. It flows through systems like Aladdin. It flows through BlackRock. And in this silent web of data and capital, a new kind of power has emerged. One that doesn't shout but calculates. One that doesn't dominate by force but by information. Understanding this system is the first step toward understanding how our economy really works. Because in a world controlled by algorithms and global capital, awareness is wealth. You're watching Wealth Lens, where we decode the hidden forces shaping money, power, and the future of global finance.